Here we go again, a little more welding. Got this little cap we're gonna throw in here, fill this void. This was already made, so when I cut the tube off, I just cut everything. I didn't know how far past the brackets were gonna be, so now I just made this little filler block out of some square tubing I had. Fill that in, weld it up, and I've got these little extensions I made for the outside. So I'll get that in there so this thing is complete. Give it some strength, make this so it doesn't lean. I don't think I'm going to fill this void. I think it might look sloppy just having a piece in there. So we'll leave it just like this. I think it looks pretty good. Let's get going. You don't want to be that close, probably.
Yeah, I do.
Alright, let's let that all cool. Then we'll come back, we'll do that. Perfect. Alright, so here's those little diagonal gussets that we're putting in from the 9-inch housing down to the lower bar here on the 4-link setup. So I'm going to start welding these babies in. We got our braces all finished up, as you can see. That's all done. Get this in, fill plug, drain plug. This thing's finally finished. So let's get rolling. All you're doing is just hold it over snug against it. No, not straight up, just like over and up. Yep, let's do that. so here we are. As you can see, we've got our gussets welded in here. Our 4-link brackets are done. We're on the home stretch now. We're just gonna be doing little incidental things here. First, we're gonna start with the drain plug. All right, it's just this little drain plug here. We marked it out. We're gonna drill it with a step drill. Here goes. Get started with that size there. And I always like to step up bigger. Get a little better bite at it. All right, that's not big enough yet. We're gonna have to step it up. Now that we got a useful battery, we'll step up the unit bit size or step drill size again. And let's go. Oh, it's about time. All right, so this was the final piece of the rear end deal here. Axles are ordered, 4-link brackets are done, welded, everything's welded out, the gussets are welded out, everything is done here. We're putting the fill plug in now. So I drilled this thing out, and like I said, there was a reason that I drilled it smaller. I used a carbide burr to open up this hole the way I want it, and check this out. It fits right in like a glove. Okay, this is exactly how I wanted it. We've got a minimal gap on the bottom. We've got 0 gap all the rest of the way around because I ground it out with that die grinder and the carbide burr. It fits perfect. We are going to be able to screw this cap in, and this thing is like, look at this. It's like butter. I mean, it just look at this. I couldn't be more happy with the way this turned out. So I'm going to start welding this now, and then this rear end is done. Tomorrow we should be able to get this thing underneath the rear of the back of the truck and start making some measurements. Get ready to cut that damn frame. All right, so you saw us finish up the rear end. It's sitting under the back of the truck, obviously. Here is the square tube back half that we just have sitting in place. It's roughly where we need it right now. What we're gonna do next is get ready. What I did is I leveled the entire frame. Now, these frames are not level from front to back. There's really not too much consistency with these things. Everything that's welded on this frame, you know, set up with the laser, just so you guys know, like everything on this frame is off like a 16th to an 1/8 of an inch. And the back of this frame, you can probably see it with the laser on that bar I have sitting there. The back of this frame is 3/8 of an inch twisted down in the right rear corner. So obviously you don't want to measure it off of that, right? So from the bed, factory bed mounts forward is 100% level, even, square, from side, from left to right, from the front right back to here. Something happens back here. Most likely that's because I have every brace cut out of this thing, and it's kind of a, you know, a piece of crap frame. There's a little bit of rust. Who knows how this thing was used? This frame came from a truck out of the junkyard. I don't know how this thing was used. It could have had 3,000 pounds of gravel dropped on the back corner. It could have been an accident. I don't know. So anyhow, the crappy part of this frame is coming off, so really it's not going to matter anymore. What we did is we got measurements right now from the front bed mounts to the rear over here, so that we know where the top of this frame rail has to be so the bed can sit on it. Because what we're going to do with this bed is we're going to use the factory rear brace as a mounting point, and we're going to use the factory front brace as a mounting point. So the bed will sit really nice with in relationship to the cab, and we're going to have, you know, everything's going to be cut out in the middle anyway. So we'll have a nice strong support in the rear, nice strong support in the front. We'll make some gussets in the middle to attach everything and have it so it's not flopping all over the place. And then everything else is going to be covered with tin or aluminum. So this frame, now I know that I might have mentioned this before, but this frame was made for a like 68 to 72 Nova. So this back portion obviously would have worked under the trunk of a car. In this case, it's totally different for a pickup. So what's going to happen is we're actually going to cut this frame. I think that by cutting this frame in the right spot, once I take some measurements and actually spinning the whole thing around and butting it up here, is going to angle us down to the point where this frame will come down and this will be the tail leg out here. We're cutting everything out of the floors anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then we'll just put some fish plates on the inside and outside. It's going to be strong as ever. We'll have some outriggers here so that it can mimic these factory bolt holes. And then the bed should drop on right in place. If anything, we want the back of this frame to be a little bit lower, and we can space it with washers so that our gap between the bed and the cab is dead on the money. We don't want that gap to look like crap. I see so many of these trucks at events and all over the place on the road that the cab and the bed are almost touching at the top or touching the bottom. They just look like dog shit to me. I don't want to see that. Like, that's not going to happen with this truck. I will fart around with it until the end of time and have that gap be perfect from left to right and top to bottom. So that's that. We're going to get the Sawzall out. We're going to buzz this frame off. Just a rough cut. This has nothing to do with where it's going to be in the end. I just want to get a rough cut so we can get the tires in here. We get the 4-link bars on. I'm going to show you how I set the 4-link bars. We got to get it basically so that lower 4-link bar, what we want is for that lower 4-link bar to be level. We're going to get that parallel with the ground, parallel with the frame, and that'll be our starting point for how this thing's going to sit. Once we get that situated, we'll start fabbing up some bracketry. This is going to be, I don't really know exactly how I'm going to do it just yet. There's going to be some flat plates on the inside, the outside. Everything's going to be cut out with a plasma cutter and ground and hand fabricated to attach this square tube chassis to this factory frame. I think it's going to turn out pretty killer when we're done. I'm going to add some extra supports with maybe 1.5 inch or 1 5/8 steel right over to here so that it triangulates this frame structure a little bit in the back. And then of course it's going to have the bars coming out of the top of the roll cage from the main hoop right down to the top of the rear 4-link back half here. So that's going to strengthen all that up, tie it all together. We are going to have a trailer hitch on this since it's a drag and drive car. It'll be a smaller trailer hitch, but it'll drop down below the roll pan, and then we're going to put a license plate bracket on from like an old Nova or Camaro, where the license plate will fold down, be spring loaded, and then trailer hitch will be hidden. It'll be nice and neat. I'll show you guys how I make that up. Show you how I make the gussets, the outriggers. Hopefully here by the end of this video, we have the whole back half in here situated. We're going to have the rear end sitting where we want it. We're going to make up some bars that go between the shock mounts. By the way, these shock mounts aren't going to get used. These shock mounts are going to get cut off, and we're going to put the shock mounts down below here. They'll be straight down, but then the coilovers will go from the coilover mounting bracket right up to the bottom of the frame rail. I might even just cut these off. This was built into this frame. This was supposed to have a different rear end setup, so there's a little bit here that we're not going to reuse, but I think that this bar will be able to stay in place. I'll show you how I set up the anti-roll bar. There's gonna be a lot going on here. We're gonna do this, make it happen, and hopefully here soon we'll have this thing sitting on the ground. My axle should be here in a week. We have to make progress on this thing. It's gotta be ready for drag week this September, and obviously there's a lot left to do. Here we go.